When working with databases and particularly tidying up databases, it's sometimes important to understand if a particular object is depended on. If it's not depended on, you may think, oh well, I can delete that. But you may want to check if anything does depend on an object before you delete it. I'm just going to close down this last table we're working with. To work with object dependencies, you go to the Database Tools tab in the ribbon, and from there you're able to choose Object Dependencies. And before I do that, I may actually just click on a form called FRM Campaign. So I'm interested in the dependencies relating to this particular object. So I click Object Dependencies and I click OK and Yes. And after a wee moment, this particular task pane appears, which is the Object Dependencies task pane. This is showing me objects that depend on me. So no tables, no queries depend on the form campaign, but the interface depends on the form campaign because there's a button on the interface that opens up the campaign form. And if I hit the plus in front of it, there's nothing else under that. So there's just one object and no reports. If I ask it to show objects that I depend on, well, this form depends on the table campaign, which happens to be linked. It also depends on the query contributors subform, and it also depends on the subform contributors. This is a subform inside of the main form. This is the query that drives that subform, and the form itself depends on this table. So it's quite often very helpful to see if an object has anything that depends on it, or if it depends on anything else before you delete it. And I can just close that object dependencies. And that concludes stage 3.